We are here with Tali, who represented Luxembourg at Eurovision 2024 with the song Fighter. Tali, welcome, or I should say welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us in person.
Yes.
The big story this year is Celine Dion. Can you tell us your Celine Dion connection?
Yes. So the team that I work with, his name is Sylvia Lisbon, and he discovered Celine Dion and worked with her when she was just starting out.
Does that mean that you have any insight into whether she will show up in Basel?
Yeah. Also, can you get us an interview?
I'm like, let me call up.
Yeah. My prediction is actually ABBA's going to show up in Switzerland.
But they will sing Celine's song in the tutu. That's the big question. If she shows up in Basel, will she have the double-breasted white jacket with the tutu? I mean,
yes.
iconic outfit.
Although, do we feel like Nemo owns that now? I
have not even thought about the Switzerland can't win without a skirt.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Tips you can use here on Mysteries of the Universe. But actually, that is a perfect transition to our first topic, which is Eurovision 2024. So last time we talked to you, you were preparing to go to Malmö, but you had not been there yet.
Before the Eurovision, I was just a girly in my New York City apartment, working 4 survival jobs, trying to pay rent, writing music. I had 2,000 followers. I was really struggling, tons of rejections in New York, grinding like all of us do. Like when I was performing in New York, it was very much like friends come out here to my show. The difference, just the fans alone, so cool. Like I have fans.
When you talk about performing in front of those 12,000 people think, okay, there was a semifinal and a final. So, wow, you got to do that twice. But no, there's the jury show or the evening preview the night before. There's the family show the day before. And there's also the press show as well. Mm-hmm. So in 1 week, you're stepping on that stage in front of an audience 8 times for those 2 TV shows. That's a Broadway performance week.
That was such good math.
That was very specific.
A lot of numbers started happening and I started having a panic attack.
Yes, no, 100%. I totally blocked that out. No, I'm kidding. No, personally, I'm very grateful that we had that many performances up until the televised international version, because practice makes perfect. And I think that if it would have just been, hey, you have this one chance to be on TV and you have maybe 2 rehearsals, I think I would have been shitting my pants, really. But yeah, it was very intense, especially voice-wise, to go from all these press interviews constantly, because they're like, okay, it's going to help the voting. Come on. You can do one more. Just the intensity, mentally of what that is.
I think they say that Eurovision is the most rehearsed TV show in the world.
Really?
Because it's
no, it's just I still learn things from you every day. It's really beautiful.
I love that.
So one thing that we noticed, and certainly for me growing up in Norway, was the heightened security presence. Mm-hmm. How do you feel like that affected preparations for the big show?
The most important thing for me was that all artists and everyone felt safe.
Right.
The audience, everyone. They checked everything. You would have to have the badge. Even my dad, who was had this accreditation, he couldn't go into, it was very secure.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. I also had a bodyguard, which was surreal for me.
Wild.
Yeah, again, from 4 survival jobs in your small New York apartment to bodyguard.
And so my friends, this is crazy. I can say it now, but I had a different name, and my friends had to call me by that name, and I would wear hats and nothing Eurovision themed, nothing that could scream Tali, Fighter, Eurovision. So it was surreal. The weirdest thing was when my friends were in the picture, my New York City friends were Tali, and then the bodyguard would be just different names, Sophie Clark, whatever.
But I can just imagine that with the very quick going from 4 survival jobs to then have to be you have to use my code name. It must feel like being
Hannah
such
Montana.
a dick.
Really?
Are you allowed to now reveal the name?
Yes, I can. It was Sophie. I just love the name Sophie.
I love that. I'm sort of off of that because, there were all of these reports of tensions backstage among certain artists. My sense is that wasn't a thing that you were too wrapped up in. Did you witness any of that? Did you feel any of that? What was the environment like backstage?
Yeah, thankfully, I was peace, everyone. Let's all have a good time. There was a lot of tension backstage between artists for sure. I'm a very empathetic person. So if I tap into anything at all, I like immediately, like you would watch me sing Fighter and sob like in the middle because
which would have been a choice.
Yeah. I will never let you down.
They're like, is she a fighter? I don't know.
Like, I love the choice. Love the choice. Yeah. Thankfully, I never had Twitter. My label actually made a Twitter under my name, like just for the voting. So I was like, slave.
Yeah.
You do that.
The bodyguard was managed.
Sorry.
Managed by Sophie.
The Luxembourg Song Contest, like, sure, I won, but I was like kind of upset about it just because like my breath control wasn't there. So that week I was like running every day, like with a trainer, like hardcore hit cardio. Like I'm not a cardio girl. I was like, like it was bad. But yeah, I was just kind of like blocking everything possible that could potentially harm me, like mentally.
Obviously, you were born in Israel. Was there any part of the controversy that you felt drawn into or felt like you constantly sort of had to answer for?
Yeah, 100%. I got a lot of hate. Because Eden wasn't in a lot of rooms up until the performance safety-wise.
Right.
She didn't do any of the journalist stuff, any of the pre-parties, right? All the questions that were supposed to be asked to Eden, they were asked to me, right?
Right.
Because
she's not there.
right. So then all the political questions were like heavily asked to me. Thankfully, I knew what to answer and I know what I feel and it's very authentic. And so people kind of were like, okay, like she actually doesn't have like a lot to say here.
Because like with Eden, not that I'm necessarily justifying hate towards an artist, but there's an element where you go, if you have strong feelings about Israel and this person is carrying the Israeli flag, there's an argument for why it's going in a direction of something.
Yeah.
But you're holding the flag of Luxembourg.
It's interesting because there is something slightly complicated about the Eurovision of it all, though, in that everyone there is representing a country. And so how do you navigate your like individual identity as an artist against the fact that like, you know, you are representing a country and therefore it does empower people, I think, 100%. To feel like they can ask you the kinds of questions that Adele is not going to get asked, you know, like
totally.
Right. There's like that weird thing that your face in some ways is responsible for the government of a country.
No, 100%. And I was very proud to represent Luxembourg and that was very important to me, like making sure that I'm constantly bringing Luxembourg to the light and like to show how proud and honored I am to represent the country for the first time after that many years. And I do think that the artist holds responsibility to the country you're representing. Like there is that link. I do think that there's that responsibility as an artist going to Eurovision. Like you are representing a country at the end of the day as well. This contest was created for what? Like to unite and to show people's cultures and to unite people's cultures and to meet people from all over the world and like to make music through that.
So moving past Eurovision, can you talk about how your life has changed?
Well, I'm an independent artist now, so that's so cool. I did a lot of shows in Luxembourg. It was insane, like connecting to the country you represent. Like you could literally have like the worst performance and they'd be like, yay, like we love you. Like it's so supportive and so amazing. So I was super thankful for that. And I was probably in like 25 writing sessions of just like constantly writing and seeing what happens.
When you went into Eurovision, do you feel like you had a plan for what you wanted to do after?
I definitely was already thinking about the next thing. My logical brain was like, okay, momentum. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you should write a bunch of music, release it, like take advantage of this period. And I didn't want Eurovision to just be it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it was phenomenal, but I was like, there's so much more to the music industry and I want to do the full thing.
Now, from the thoughts of what to do after and then the reality, have they aligned? Have they been very different?
Quite different timeline-wise. I wanted to release way earlier. So now it's just been like, I just got to wait a little more. But hey, there's a lot to being an independent artist into being a signed artist. And that I'm learning a lot. There's so much more to just let me release next Friday. Hey guys, it's coming out next Friday. Like I used to do that, right?
Yeah,
and it's like, why isn't this working? It's like, oh, maybe there's actually like years of knowledge on actually how to do this right.
Right.
Which I was completely unaware of. So I was like, yeah, like I'll release in the fall, like everyone, yay. No.
On the creative side, how much of that EP, like how much are co-writes?
Everything is co-written.
Amazing.
Before this, I only wrote by myself. And I wrote only with one or two people. And then with my label, they put me in rooms every day with different people because they were like, we don't know what your sound is going to be like post-Eurovision. Like, let's just experiment. So then I was like constantly with different people. And then I found like my 3 or 4 favorites. And then we kind of went deeper. And so it's 6 songs and 3 of them are upbeat, 3 of them are ballads.
And these co-writing sessions, like, right, like you go into the studio, you don't know this person.
No, yeah.
So like walk us through, like, how do you establish a relationship? How do you start talking about what you're going to write about? Like all of that.
Yeah. So these sessions would normally be in Paris for me. So I would always take the train. It's like a 2-hour train. And I would, on my phone.
So this is where Emily in Paris got it from.
Exactly. It's actually about me.
And the
spin-off, Sophie in Paris.
Oh my God, you beat me to it. But I was going to call her Sophie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. So how the EP kind of came along is I wrote different topics of what I was going through in my notes.
Yeah.
Little titles. And so I would go to a songwriting session kind of with that topic in mind. And sometimes we would use it. And sometimes I'd be like, actually, like, I'm not feeling that today.
Right.
So it was like very spontaneous, I would say. In terms of relationship, every person is different. Like one, which I love, and we wrote a banger and it's in the EP. That one girl, she would just like go out and smoke for like 3 hours and then come back and then be like, I have the top line. I'm like, okay, like, let's hear it. Best top line I've ever heard. I'm like, yes. But I would be like, for 3 hours, I'd be by myself, like, oh, like, now I need to write something good. And she would just come back and be like, okay, like, I think it's this one. Like, just crazy.
There's something very French about that.
Yes,
yeah, and I'm just saying that
French.
When the writers of Emily in Paris hears this episode, that's going to be in the...
I wrote all over the world. The EP talks about, I can't say the title, but it basically talks about this girl who travels from place to place aimlessly and like the struggle of like, where do I feel at home? Like I might have a home on paper, but where do I actually feel at home? Is it a person? Is it music? Is it a place?
That's great.
And so that's kind of what it talks about. And we wanted to really recreate this with the writing. So I actually traveled a lot.
With your EP coming out, there's so many Eurovision artists we've spoken to where they're like, here's this one song that I'm so famous for. And how do I follow that up? And especially if they feel like some of their music maybe goes in a little different direction. Yeah. And that sometimes there's a lot of stress linked to this. Like, what do I follow it up with?
Yes. 100%. I feel the pressure more now.
Right.
I think like now that it's like coming out, I'm like, oh.
Well, because the creative is done. So now it's like, do you like it?
Right. Like it's like, I love it, but I'm like, oh. Like I loved Fighter and it's always going to be a part of me and I'm going to sing it for the rest of my life. But it's a tricky thing also because I feel like now my writing is going to be different and my style is going to be different. So I think that pressure of artistically switching gears.
I'm assuming in Luxembourg, a lot of the fan base became aware of you because of Eurovision and Fighter. Mm-hmm. So what has that felt like vibe-wise, introducing people to your other work?
Yeah, good question. Thankfully, like the vibes are amazing during those like piano quiet moments where I'm playing or a guitar moment. I'm just alone, spotlight. Like I really feel the audience with me. And there's some fans that have come to almost all the shows. And by the end, they were singing along to really old music that I was like, I was probably going to delete that. And then I hear them sing it back to me. And it's like, I start crying, like I'm like tearing up.
Obviously, having spent a lot of time in New York, do you feel like there's been an awareness over here of the contest?
Yeah, I think I definitely opened the door a little bit here more. Like my whole college was like, yes, girl, go ahead. My acting classes, like everyone that was in my life, like was super supportive. And a lot of people that I didn't know were sharing, like friends of friends who worked together and stuff like that. So I feel like the New York City community like was kind of there for me, which was cool. And I heard that my friends went to like this Eurovision party, like watch party, and that a lot of people there voted for me. So it was really cool.
How has the Eurovision experience changed you as a performer, other than sprinting and singing at the same time?
I love that. I had never used in-ears before, which is insane. Like I was just doing, like pub, the speakers, whatever. So I feel like it's made me a professional performer. Like, yes, I was professional before and I was like working professionally, theater or whatever, doing a lot of shows. But I think it really brought me up a level in terms of like knowledge of in-ears, connecting with the audience. I'm playing with like live stems, which is like the click, and it's like a thing. And you're like, but you like have to like act like you're singing a really
you're feeling
song.
the passion, but instead you're just hearing Alexa talk.
Exactly.
It must be such a weird,
surreal.
I feel like it's like relearning to sing almost.
Yeah, it's like, the noise canceling like AirPod effect. Like it's kind of like everything just, and you just hear like your voice. It's a weird thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's presence wise, like I've grown a lot. Like just being able to speak. Like I've never been a speaker. I'm a speaker like now. I love to speak.
Yeah, but like
on stage,
banter,
oh my God, I freak out. No. I'm the worst. I'm like,
so get that.
And now my next song is gonna be, I'm like, no girl, no one cares. Like, just like be yourself. Right. You know what I mean?
Just sort of to wrap things up, can you tell us anything about what's next as far as like when you release the EP? Is there a tour in the works?
New York show in the works?
Are you planning on coming New York side, stateside? I don't know.
New York side in the works.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm wearing these necklaces and there's some lyrics hidden in here.
Oh my goodness. The Easter eggs.
I know.
This is actually great. If you are listening to this, because we don't have enough people watching the YouTube, you have to go to the YouTube to get the hints.
Exactly.
There you go. If you keep watching like my social media, like early 2025, I'll definitely be Easter egging a lot. So very exciting. Yeah. So yeah, early 2025 is like when the magic will happen, hopefully.
Oh my God. Well, we will absolutely be watching for that.
And
cannot wait to
be there at the hopeful New York release concert.
The New York release.
And we are possibly planning something in New York.
Amazing.
Possibly.
Well, I think that possibly should move to a definitely.
Yeah. Well, who do we need to call?
The bodyguard?
I heard there were it's the bodyguard involved. Do we call Sophie?
So good.
Amazing. Well, Tali, thank you so much.
Thank you. All the mysteries of the